So 2 nights ago was the Johnson County Post's chairperson forum that took place, and they did a good job with that. I was able to kind of go through all of it yesterday, traveling back, and happy to welcome on one of those candidates, Crnovitch, joining us in studio here on KCMO. Karen, good morning. How do you feel like it went 2 nights ago?
First of all, thank you, Pete, for inviting me on. We universally feel like we won the night. I made the most punches at Mike Kelly, our incumbent. He wasn't able to answer a lot of the questions in a really clear way. And so we feel really good. Is there always room for improvement? Of course there is. And me and my team are working on that. But overall, we are claiming a victory on this one.
Well, I think you should. What is the issue as you look at it right now in Johnson County?
100% property taxes. In my opening statement, I mentioned the fact that I've had the extreme honor, because I've run previously, to speak to thousands of Johnson County residents. And the number one issue that they have is the rising property tax bill. And it's a struggle. And it's not just, 10 years ago, it was just seniors and, maybe young families. Now it's universal. Every corner of our county, people are talking about their property taxes. And the number one driver of the property taxes is the out of control budget. Mike Kelly issues a blank check and a rubber stamp to every single expenditure that comes to the commission. It's got to stop, and I'm the woman to stop it.
So I was looking at some of these numbers, and we've talked about them on this show. The budget's now $1.9 billion. That's double what it was 10 years ago, 50% up from 5 years ago. And there was this back and forth on how much in reserves the county needs to have. Can you simplistically break that down in terms of what the county has? I think it's $500,000 in reserves versus what you think they should have.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to state that I never make a public statement without getting a wide variety of viewpoints on my ideas.
Well, that makes one of us.
Which I did. And so I consulted with lots of different people on this, because basic math shows, they keep saying, oh, it's 28% of expenses. No, it's not. The expense line, the expenditures, is $1.4 billion. If you calculate the $500 million, that's actually 38% of expenses, number one. So they're calculating it off of the top line, which is basically saying we're going to have reserves on our reserves to the tune of $175 million. Now, for those of you who are super math people out there, I'm using ish numbers.
Yes.
I'm not going to get down to the penny. But $175 million is a significant amount of money that could be returned to taxpayers. How would we return it? I can't go on the record for saying that, but I would absolutely be in support of, if we can shave that much out of our budget, then this should be returned to you, the taxpayers, because it's your money.
What about the growth in personnel in Johnson County? It looks like the county has gone from just a few years ago, 3,600 positions to now 4,400 positions. Is that the numbers as you know them? And if so, what are those new 800 jobs doing?
Yeah. So in my campaign, in order to make things as simple as possible, I use a 5-year metric. And in the past 5 years, they have increased staff 18%. Now, a lot of the talking points that Mike Kelly points to is, we've had population growth. Same time population growth, about 5%. So we are growing the middle management in our county in significant ways. There are a ton of positions that have been created that weren't there before, that are basically paper pushers and kind of managing the bureaucracy. I am a big fan of lean and mean. I don't have a problem with paying people well, but if we have overbloated system, then it's difficult to do that. Let's carve back some of the full-time positions so that people are working efficiently and effectively, and highly compensate them. And I believe we can do that and show a tax savings to our taxpayers.
Now, do you know that these are not just EMS workers and, sheriff's department folks and things like that? It's just bureaucratic middle management?
Bureaucratic middle management is what is being added. And, there's a lot of people who have confidentially spoken to me kind of off the record. So I want to be very protectful of them and their positions, because they're in a vulnerable position by sharing with me all of the middle management. But one of the conversations that I had earlier this year was a woman who said, look, I don't even think my position is warranted anymore. And my boss said, oh, you understand that you're going to be putting yourself out of a job. And she's like, well, yeah, because it's taxpayer dollars. And it was ironic that her manager, her direct report, was actually arguing with her on efficiencies that she was proposing. I think there's an underbelly and an undercurrent of toxicity within the county government that we also need to take a hard look at. Because that was one of the other points that Mike tried to make was, oh, well, these jobs are hard. Look, I know they're hard. And I work in an industry where they're also difficult. People do wake up and do difficult jobs every day and can love going to work. It is not about how hard the job is. It's about the culture that you work in. And if you enjoy going to work and you feel like you're being supported and you're accomplishing good things, then, how much you pay is important, or how much you make is important, but it's not the most important driver. And that's why they have some turnover as well.
What's the first thing you look to cut if you're the chair?
Number one, we need to right size the reserves. That's the biggest kind of pot of money that we can tackle. Number two, I would challenge every department head to go through their individual budgets and start at a zero-based budgeting. What do they absolutely have to deliver the services that we need to promise, or that we've made promises to our citizens? And then what is all of the other spending that is not necessary, but we like to have, and let's look at that. The other place I think we need to look at, and you mentioned this earlier this morning, is we don't need to build a new building every 2 years. That's absolutely insanity. One, I'm a big believer in let's maintain the buildings we do have and make sure that they're well maintained, well taken care of. And then if we need a new building, let's really, really look at, is this the only option forward? For example, that health sciences or health services building that you mentioned, there were other options of buildings that we have that are setting open. They're literally vacant.
Every time I drive past that thing it's 119th and Ridgeview, I just get so ticked off because it's like I said earlier, it's like something the Pentagon would build.
The trim level on these things is absolutely unhinged. Now, we want to have nice buildings. And yes. I think you can have, a nice building. And it's everywhere. I mean, look at these buses. The buses that we invested in for the World Cup and all of that. And I don't want to go down the World Cup rabbit hole right now.
Yeah.
But I walked on one of these buses because they had them for show out at the State of the County address, and they're so proud of these buses. I walked in this bus, and I've been in some very nice motor coaches in my life. I'm very blessed to have been able to do so. This thing is trimmed out like a Lamborghini. I was like, what in the world? And why when we're approving funds, one of the big questions that's not being asked is, okay, what is the trim level of this? Mm-hmm. How much are we spending? What's the good, better, best? Because we don't need the best. We need... And arguably, do we even need the better? Is good enough? I think it is, because at the end of the day, we have to remember, when you are a good steward of taxpayer dollars, that means that you take every dollar that you spend and you do it in a way that is meaningful and in forward thinking of what's best for taxpayers, and having the better or best trim levels on a bus that, oh, by the way, public's going to be riding this bus. These things are going to be trashed.
I know.
What in the world are we doing? Now, for those of you who drive Lamborghinis in Johnson County, I applaud you. Good for you. But you know what? That's your own personal budget to manage. This is the county dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when it comes to property tax relief, this came up. I thought it was one of your best answers of the night, if not the best answer, because it's kind of a trick question. Hey, what's your property tax relief look like for seniors? And everyone always has an answer on senior property tax relief. And I just think it's a way for people to try to buy votes. Seniors are more likely to vote. So it's like, let's focus on the seniors. And everyone's hurting on the property tax front. I mean, whether you're a senior on a fixed cost of living or if you're 35 trying to raise a couple of kids, it's the same problem. And your answer was, I'm not picking and choosing winners and losers. I don't know if that's the right political strategy, but I think it's the right strategy for the citizens themselves. So why'd you come to that conclusion?
Well, I came to that conclusion because I'm a big believer that, one, we don't need special property tax incentives. We don't have to make people jump through hoops. Number one, let me back up just a second. 87% of people who appeal their property taxes win. So that tells me that we've got a problem potentially with the system that we need to dig into. Because why are there so many people who know how to appeal their property tax, have the time, energy, and effort to do so. And why are they winning those appeals? Number one. Number two, Mike Kelly liked to talk about this. Oh, we have this new special incentive that if your, house is less than this amount, value, and you make less than this amount of money, we can give you back. Look, that is just, it's like, you're on a sinking ship. You're on a Titanic. And what you're going to do to solve the shrinking ship is put one deck chair overboard and say, okay, now we don't have as much weight. What we need is real, meaningful property tax relief for all Johnson County property tax owners. If we can lower the burden, then everybody wins, including seniors, including young families, everyone in between. And it'll help address affordable housing issues. It'll help address a lot of other things. We have to start with fiscal discipline first to deliver property tax relief. And one of the things that no one else is going to go on the record saying this. And, sometimes people who run for political office get beat up, especially when you've never run and you say, well, I'm not a politician. Here are the two reasons why I make the claim that I'm not a politician. I am a public servant who wants to serve the people of Johnson County. Number one, I made a promise on Tuesday night that if I am unable to lower the budget and deliver property tax relief in the term that I serve as your commission chair, I will not run again, because I will not have succeeded in delivering on my commitment and my promise. Unlike Mike Kelly 4 years ago, which one of his campaign promises was property tax relief. And what everybody didn't read in the fine print was, oh, well, it's property tax relief for 687 homes in Johnson County. That's not real property tax relief. The other thing that I made a promise to is the very first thing I will do as chair is cut the chair's salary 35%. So let's dig into that really quickly. Back in 2024, the county commission increased, they voted themselves a raise of 24% in 2024. No, it was 23% in 2024. I apologize. So that brought the chair's salary to over $90,000. Currently, he makes $93,888. If I cut that 35%, it'll bring it down to $61,000, which is just a smidge over what the other commissioners make. I feel that is appropriate for it to be a smidge more, not $30,000 more. And no one else is going to do that. But I'm willing to, because I am serious about cutting this budget, and I will be first in line to do so.
Karen Crnovitch on KCMO Talk Radio. She wants to be the next chair of Johnson County, Kansas. Great job the other night, and enjoyed having you in studio. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, where can people find you? Facebook?
Facebook, it's all KC for JoCo. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. My website is KC for JoCo, and it's 4 spelled out. And I look forward to everyone's support, everybody's vote on August 4th. We do have a primary. And then again on November 3rd, let's change the trajectory of the Johnson County out-of-control spending together. Vote for Karen.
KC4JoCo.com.